Hi, everyone. This is Dana Shibley with Verifyle. All of us here at Verifyle are very happy about the partnership that we have in place with CALDA. And as CALDA members, all of you should know that you get access to the premium version, actually a special version of Verifyle Pro at no charge to you or anyone at all that you'd like to share information with or get signatures from. You get access to the full suite of capabilities inside of your Verifyle Pro system, including the ability to brand it as you would like, and also unlimited electronic signatures capability. And toward the end of today's presentation, I'll also discuss some options for you to access invoicing and payment capability, as well as what we call our public upload page. You can access your Verifyle Pro system by clicking on links that are in recent emails that you received from CALDA, or you can simply go to verifyle.com and sign in using the email address by which CALDA recognizes you to be a member. I'll say that again. You can simply sign in using the email address by which CALDA recognizes you to be a member. Okay. I want to point out that I am not a legal expert. I have no experience working in the legal industry at all. So take some of the things that I might say with a grain of salt, of course. But today I'm going to be showing you some general sharing examples to really stress the key concepts for use behind Verifyle. Okay, so for those of you who are new to Verifyle, maybe you diligently have a pencil in hand and you're ready to take notes and so on and so forth, but that's not the best way to watch a Verifyle demo. The best thing for you to do is just sit back and get a few key concepts into your head with respect to how to use Verifyle, and I think that you'll find that everything flows quite easily from that. Okay, there are already professionals using Verifyle around the world for secure sharing purposes, secure storage purposes, and many are using Verifyle primarily for communicating internally with colleagues, while others use Verifyle exclusively for selectively sharing sensitive information back and forth with clients and so forth. Others still use Verifyle for selectively and securely sharing sensitive family or personal information. So I'll go through a number of these examples today. Some quick background information about Verifyle. We're based in Silicon Valley, and we're led by Jack Smith, who is the individual who invented and co-founded the company Hotmail, which was many people's first experience with both email and the internet, and ultimately grew to about 500 million users. He also had leading roles with two successful digital security companies, Ironport and Proximex. Verifyle is all about making communication better, and we see two key aspects of communication. Those are security and productivity, neither of which should come at the expense of usability. The reason we place such persistent emphasis on security is that we believe the near-term future will continue to be characterized by two types of organizations and professionals: those who successfully make that extra effort to protect and secure their own information and that of their constituents, and continue to reap the long-term trust relationship benefits that derive from that, and those organizations and professionals who do not make that extra effort to protect that information and see a gradual erosion in those trust relationships. We want to make sure that all of our users fall on the positive side of that line. So you might ask yourself, what exactly is Verifyle? Verifyle is ultra secure messaging and document sharing and storage all on a single screen, where in that single screen, for each situation that you're working on, whether that be a client engagement, project management, or any kind of sharing or storage of sensitive information, you can see exactly who has access to what information, and if and when any single individual has looked at or downloaded any single piece of information. So you always have a very heightened sense of situational awareness, not only in terms of what you see from your side of the communication, but in terms of what's happening on the other side of that communication as well. So think of Verifyle as your all-in-one communication power tool, specifically designed for those situations that you have to be absolutely on top of, that must be well organized, and above all, private and secure. Now, in our secure single screen, we've incorporated the most powerful components of email, cloud file sharing, unlimited electronic signatures, and our patented encryption key management technology, Verifyle, which manages the interaction of 6 different encryption keys for each time that any single individual interacts with any single data element inside of Verifyle. So each data element inside of Verifyle has been individually encrypted, such that even if somebody were to break past our encryption, which they won't, all they'd be able to access would be that single data element, and that's it. There's no potential for someone to break into Verifyle and scoop mass amounts of data to gain what we call bulk access, as they have done with so many systems out there in both the public and private sectors, including Anthem, the tune of something like 80 million individuals' data files, and Equifax to the tune of about 146 million individuals' data files. With Verifyle, there's no real incentive for a hacker to try and break in the first place, because there's not that potential for a large-scale return on that hacker's efforts. So this is a major reduction in risk for anyone who uses Verifyle. In fact, we would go as far as to say it's a real game changer in terms of your overall information risk profile. And we'll talk more about how this impacts you directly as we go through today's demonstration. But for now, please keep in mind as we go through the demonstration that you'll be seeing it from my perspective, as I act as a legal documents professional, okay? One of your colleagues perhaps. And also bear in mind that even though Verifyle is backed by all of this encryption technology, by all of this security, as users, we don't need to create any encryption keys, memorize any encryption keys, manage or share any encryption keys at all. That all happens automatically, completely behind the scenes for us. So let's dive in and take a look. Okay, so now I'm at the sign-in screen for Verifyle, which I can access by using any of the major browsers. It doesn't matter whether I'm using a Mac, a PC, or a tablet computer. By the way, you're also welcome to use our handy mobile app if you would like. Okay, and I'm going to sign in here using my email address and password, so I'll click Next. And I have selected the option inside of Verifyle such that an additional authentication code is being requested of me. This is a code that appears on my mobile phone and that changes every 30 seconds. Now, the benefit of using such a code is that even if somebody does somehow get a hold of my password, they still won't be able to access my Verifyle system unless they also have access to my mobile phone where they can see this additional authentication code, right? And bear in mind that I do have the option to click in this little box right here. And if I click in this box, it is essentially me telling Verifyle, hey, Verifyle, if in the future you can see that there's a sign-in attempt to my system and the correct password is put in, and you can see that the same device is being used that I'm using right now and the same browsers I'm using right now, then there's no need to ask for the additional authentication code. But if that's not the case, then definitely ask for that authentication code. Oh, and by the way, you do have the option to, instead of having the code always on your phone, you have the option to have that code texted to you, that additional authentication code. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and type the code in. All right, now I'm in Verifyle. And there are 2 things I'd like to point out to you here. Number 1 is towards the top center, I can see the CALDA logo, and I can swap that out for any logo of my choosing by simply clicking on my name at the top right and then going into the account settings area. So if you click right there, you can add any logo that you would like. All right, and we'll take a look into that area in more detail a little bit down the road. Okay, the second thing is that all of you should be aware that there are 2 main areas inside of your Verifyle system. There is the Workspaces area, which I'm in right now, and you can see that exemplified by the fact that the Workspaces tab is highlighted right here. I'm going to start out by going into the Contacts area right here. Watch this. I'll go ahead and click on Contacts. Okay, and here I have my list of contacts inside of Verifyle, and I can click on any one of these individual names, such as Peggy Personnel, in order to immediately open up a secure one-to-one private messages communication between me and that individual, in this case, Peggy Personnel, right? And I can type any message that I would like to here for her, and I can also click on the paperclip symbol to share a file securely with her if I would like. Okay, but let's start from scratch with a new person, okay, to make this more realistic. let's say that I meet a new person, and I'm going to say that that person's name is Christine Carson. Okay, so I meet Christine Carson, and I want to very quickly open up a secure one-to-one communication channel with her. How do I do that? Easy. All I need to do is click on the plus symbol in the Contacts tab right here. And I'm going to type in Christine's name and email address. Then I click Add, and now you can see that Christine Carson's name has been added to my contacts list. Again, I'm Dana Shibley, and I'm in here as a legal documents assistant, right? And I've just added Christine Carson name in here by clicking on the plus symbol and typing in her name and email address. And now Verifyle is showing me the private messages area between me and Christine Carson, right? The center column. I can type a message to Christine here. Hi, Christine. And I'll click on the paperclip symbol to go ahead and share a file with her. All right, so I click on the paperclip symbol. Let's say I initially decide to share a living trust document with her. Where is that? There we go. All right, so I just shared the living trust document with Christine Carson like that. And I'm going to now click on the send indicator right here. So I click on send. That's what shares that information with Christine Carson, okay? So I've just shared the living trust document and this message, hi Christine, with Christine. And I can see the document expanded on over here on the right where I can do a number of things with it, which we'll take a look at in just a few minutes. But the main point to get across now is that as I added this information to Verifyle, I, Dana Shibley, added it into Verifyle, and the Verifyle system automatically sent an email alert to Christine Carson that lands in her old-fashioned email box and tells her that I, Dana Shibley, am sharing with her a living trust document and also a private message securely inside of Verifyle. That content, the message and the ability to open the document are not available to her in that email alert. Why? Because email is not secure. We don't want to be sending sensitive information back and forth via email. However, she can click on the link in that email alert, which will bring her into Verifyle, where she creates her own password, and then will get access to the message, hi, Christine, and also get full access to the living trust document, okay? And if for some reason she is not comfortable clicking on links in that email alert, she can just go directly to verifyle.com in order to access that particular document. All right, so now let's go ahead and see what this looks like from Christine Carson's actual perspective. So I'm now going to sign in as Christine Carson, okay? The client or potential client here. So I'm in as Christine Carson. I would have received an email alert, or if I was already in Verifyle, I would have first seen this internal alert inside of Verifyle. And if I click here on contacts, I can see that there's a private message between me and Dana Shibley, okay? And that Dana is sharing with me the living trust document right here, okay? So I see the private message and I see the document, and I can click on the document right here and I can choose to either preview or download this particular document. So I just previewed it, and in previewing that document, that just sent an email alert to Dana letting him know that I just took a look at this document. If I were to download the document, that also alerts Dana to that effect as well. And both of those access instances would be logged for Dana to refer to anytime that he would like. Okay, so as Christine, I'm just going to type a message back to Dana. Thanks, Dana. And please bring my husband into this communication as well. Okay. So as Christine, I'm typing this message to Dana, click send. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead back. I'm back in as Dana, right? The legal document assistant. And I can see the message that Christine Carson has typed to me right here. Okay, so I went through that kind of slowly and meticulously. And if you're already a user of Verifyle, you're probably bored to death. But it's very important for me to go through that very slowly and clearly, because that is a fundamental capability inside of Verifyle, right? The ability for anybody, either me on my side right here, or Christine Carson from her side right here, to be able to see this same interface right here and type in messages, click on the paperclip symbol here, in order to securely upload and share files with the other person. So going back in, looking from Dana's perspective, I got this message back from Christine, okay? And if I have a very simple communication relationship with Christine, and it's really just me and her moving documents back and forth, I probably would be fine just keeping that entire relationship managed out of the contacts area of my Verifyle system. Okay, one-to-one, we communicate securely about anything, and I can request signatures from Christine Carson and so forth. I'll show you guys how to do that in just a little bit. But if it's just a one-to-one simple communication like that, you can manage it right out of the contacts area. However, I'm getting some cues here that I might need some deeper level communication capabilities with this client, Christine Carson. So first of all, she's asking me to bring her husband into this communication. Okay, and let's say that she's talking with me not only about some therapy and counseling issues, but also about some estate planning issues and some other issues as well. So I'm getting the sense that, okay, so there's multiple topics here. Oh, and she's asking me if she can bring her estate planning attorney in on this communication as well. Okay, so now I'm dealing with a situation where there are potentially multiple topics, or what we call threads in Verifyle, not only therapy and counseling, but also estate planning. Okay, so multiple topics, threads, and also multiple people involved here. So I might need the ability to kind of orchestrate who sees exactly which flows of information and which documents, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so there's going to be some management of this communication, all right? And those are all tip-offs to me that I should really think hard about creating a workspace in which to communicate effectively with this client, Christine Carson. So I'm going to click on the Workspaces tab right here. I click. Okay, here I have a number of workspaces that I've already created. These tend to be situations where there are multiple people that I'm communicating with, where there's lots of information moving back and forth over potentially quite a significant period of time, and there are multiple topics or threads, if you will. So it's a communication relationship that needs to be managed, right? That's when I use Workspaces. Okay, so I'm going to create a new workspace by clicking on the plus symbol right here, and I'll call this new workspace Client Christine Carson, just like that. Okay, there's a new workspace, Client Christine Carson. Okay, the host is me, Dana Shibley. Why am I the host? Because I'm the creator of this workspace. That puts me in the default position of being the orchestrator or the quarterback of this workspace, or the person who's very much in charge of things happening inside of this workspace. Specifically, I am the only person who will be able to add people to this workspace. Christine, maybe her spouse, maybe her attorney, maybe other professionals along the way, who knows, right? But I'm the only person who can add people and take away people from this workspace. I'm also the only person who will be able to add topics, threads, and take them away as I deem necessary. Okay, so I'm going to click in this workspace called Client Christine Carson. Click. And you can see that it's blank because I haven't added anything in here yet. I need to build it out, which is very easy, as you'll see in a moment. But here's the name of the workspace, Client Christine Carson. And the Verifyle system is prompting me to add a guest. So I'll click here. And the first person I'm going to add is Christine herself, right? I'll definitely be communicating with her. So I just did a search for her, right? And I add her. All right, so Christine's been added as a guest in my Client Christine Carson workspace that I created. And the Verifyle system has recognized, oh, Dana already began communicating via a one-to-one secure private messages communication with Christine Carson from the contacts area. He still might like to have access to that secure one-to-one communication with Christine Carson. He still might like to have access to that, even though he's going to be building out the entire workspace here. Okay, so Verifyle's made that convenient for me to continue communicating one-to-one with Christine Carson, but the reason I created this workspace, Client Christine Carson, in the first place was so that I could take advantage of those deeper level communication capabilities. And I'll do that inside of Workspace threads. So I'll click on the plus symbol here, and the first workspace thread I'm going to create is, I'm going to call it Therapy and Counseling. Okay, just like that. And then the second workspace thread I'm going to create is going to be estate planning. Just like that, okay? And then I'm going to create a third workspace thread called my reference material, like that. Okay, I've created 3 workspace threads here. Let's start out inside of the workspace thread called Therapy and Counseling. There we are. I just clicked on it, which brings it front and center right here, Therapy and Counseling. No guests have access yet. No guests have access. Therefore, it's private, right? So the first thing I need to tell the Verifyle system is, okay, who am I going to enable to have access to this workspace thread? No problem. Okay, this is the part where you need to be listening carefully. Okay, in Verifyle, wherever you are, if you move your cursor around, you'll see these little gear icons pop up all over the place, wherever you are in Verifyle. And when you click on one, it shows you options for the various things that you can do. So what I like to say, this is a very corny jingle, so I'm sure it'll stick in your head. When things are unclear, go to the gear in Verifyle. Okay, I want to give people access to the Therapy and Counseling workspace thread. So I do what? I go to the gear. And then I'm going to click on Manage Permissions. Okay, this is what lets me decide who's going to get access here. I click on Manage Permissions, and I want Christine Carson to have access, just like that. So now Christine's going to have access. But remember that when I was communicating one-to-one with Christine Carson, that I started from the contacts area, that she told me she wants me to bring her husband into this communication as well. Okay, and I know that she was talking about therapy and counseling issues. So I'm going to go into Therapy and Counseling workspace thread right here, okay? And I'm now going to add her husband. So I go to the gear. When things are unclear, I go to the gear. I click on the gear symbol, I click Manage Permissions, and I'm going to add her husband. Well, he's not going to be in the list of people I've communicated with before, so I need to add him. So let's just say his name is Sammy Spouse, okay? Sammy@example.com. It's his email address, okay? So I just added Sammy Spouse to this workspace thread, and now I can see, there we go. Now I can see that Christine Carson and Sammy both have access to the Therapy and Counseling workspace thread, okay? And I'll type a message to them. Let's work on counseling matters, okay? And I'll click on the paperclip symbol right here. And I'm going to bring in some legal documents. How about I bring in, just for example, a dementia order and an adoption agreement. And by the way, I can just drag and drop these documents in if I would like that, right? And then I click send. Okay, so I've shared these 2 documents with Christine and Sammy Spouse, and I can see them expanded over here on the right. And notice, as I said earlier, wherever I move my cursor around, I see the gear symbol. When things are unclear, go to the gear in Verifyle. So if I click on dementia order, and if I click on the gear symbol right here, I see a number of options of things I can do, from viewing the access history of that document, downloading a single document or multiple documents, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so all set for the Therapy and Counseling workspace thread. I'm going to move on to the estate planning workspace thread. So I click on it, which brings it front and center right here. No guests have access yet, so I'm first going to give guests access. And I'll do that by going to the gear, clicking on Manage Permissions. And yes, I want Christine and Sammy both to have access to it just like that, okay? But let's say that Christine has informed me that she also wants her estate planning attorney to be part of this communication. No problem. I'll go here, go to the gear symbol, click on Manage Permissions, and I'll click on the plus symbol here. And let's say that her legal person, her estate planning attorney is Lisa Lawyer. So I'm going to add Lisa Lawyer just like that. All right. And now I click save. So now Christine, Lisa, the attorney, the lawyer, plus Sammy Spouse are all going to have access to whatever information that any of the 4 of us put inside of Verifyle here. So let's work on estate planning matters. Okay, I'll click on the paperclip symbol right here. And then why don't I pull in some estate planning documents here? How about life insurance policy and a power of attorney document and letter of intent, maybe? Letter of intent and a legal review document. Okay, I'll drag and drop those documents in just like that. Okay. And I'll also type a welcome message here for Lisa Lawyer, which I've never communicated with her at all before. Okay. There. Okay, so I've shared that information with the three of them, okay, in the estate planning workspace thread. Okay, and then finally, I've got a workspace thread here I've created called My Reference Materials. So I click on it, which brings it front and center. No guests have access yet. No guests have access yet, right? Okay, and you know what? I don't want anybody to have access to this workspace thread except me, because this is where I'm going to put information for my reference alone whenever I'm thinking about client Christine Carson, right? So let's say I go ahead and I click on the paperclip symbol, and I'm going to add a couple of documents here. What should I add? Okay, how about let's just say I add in a cash flow report, and how about a budget forecast document? Okay, so drag and drop those two documents in like this. And if I click send here, the Verifyle system's not going to share this information with anybody because I haven't given anybody access, right? It's simply going to send this information into Verifyle. So I click send, and there you go. Those two documents are in secure encrypted storage, just like any other documents that I have in Verifyle that might be getting shared with somebody else. Okay, so you can see how I've set up 3 different workspace threads, and different people have access to the content within each of these workspace threads, right? This one, 2 people are getting access to. The estate planning workspace thread, 3 people are getting access to. And the My Reference Materials workspace thread, only I'm getting access to. And I can put different information inside of each of these workspace threads, right? And so effectively, each of these workspace threads serves as a dynamic subfolder within the larger organizational framework of client Christine Carson. Okay, and the effect of these, as seen through the eyes of someone that I'm sharing information with, they're getting a customized view based solely upon what I have determined that I want each of those people to see. Okay, let's see what this looks like from the client Christine Carson's perspective now. So I'm in as Christine Carson, right, the client. I would have received an email alert letting me know that there's new content in Verifyle awaiting me, a new workspace called Client Christine Carson. But if I was already inside of Verifyle, I first would have seen these internal alerts. So I, Christine Carson, the client, will click on this workspace right here, and I see that the host of this workspace is Dana Shibley. Oh, yeah, Dana Shibley, my legal document assistant, right, that I work with. Okay, and I can see that there are 2 workspace threads here that I have access to. And why am I seeing 2 workspace threads here and not 3? Well, Dana had a 3rd workspace thread that was called My Reference Materials, but I don't even know that it exists because he hasn't given me access to it. In fact, there might be 5 or 10 other workspace threads that exist inside the client Christine Carson workspace that I don't know about at all because Dana's using them to communicate with his colleagues, with other professionals, and he's not sharing that information with me. He only wants me, the client, Christine Carson, to see polished information that's ready to be presented to me. Okay, so I'm seeing the workspace threads that Dana wants me to see. No more, no less. Okay, and I can go inside of these workspace threads like therapy and counseling, and as you can imagine, I can click on the documents here, okay, and choose whether to preview or download them. And I can also click on the documents over here to decide what I want to do with them. But that clears the alerts, okay? And then I go into the estate planning workspace thread. And in the estate planning workspace thread, similarly, I can go ahead and I can clear out the alerts. Let's say life insurance policy I want to take a closer look at. So if I click on it and then decide to preview it, okay, that just sent an email alert to Dana that I took a look at it. And let's say then that I decide to download it. That also just sent an email alert to Dana, letting him know that I downloaded this document. So those 2 access instances are logged for Dana to be able to refer to anytime that he would like. All right, so he knows what's happening to some extent on my side of the communication. Okay, let's say that as I'm looking in here, I, Christine Carson, let's say it's been 6 months and there are hundreds of time and date stamped messages in here from Dana and Lisa Lawyer and Sammy's spouse and myself, Christine Carson, et cetera, et cetera. And there's hundreds of time and date stamp messages, dozens and dozens of documents. And as I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, you know what? Lisa Lawyer, my estate planning attorney, is in here, and she's not really adding much value. She's extremely expensive, and it seems to me that everything she types in here is very obvious information. I don't want Lisa Lawyer to be part of this communication anymore. I don't want her as my estate planning attorney. Can I remove her? Can I, Christine Carson, remove Lisa Lawyer from this workspace thread? I cannot. Only the host of this workspace, Dana, can remove anybody from any of the workspace threads in here. So I can type a message here. Dana, please remove this attorney, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But that might be a little bit blunt because Lisa Lawyer would see that, right? Unless Dana removes her very quickly. But I can, at any time, I, Christine Carson, can click on Dana's name right here, which opens up the private messages one-to-one communication I have with Dana. And I can type the message, please get rid of this attorney, Lisa. Okay. All right, so now let's go back and look from Dana's perspective. So I'm back in as Dana, right, the legal document assistant. I can see the message that Christine Carson has typed to me, please get rid of this attorney, Lisa. Okay, well, the only place in here that I've added an attorney is in the estate planning workspace thread. So I, the host of this workspace called Client Christine Carson, as the host, I can go to the gear symbol in the estate planning workspace thread, right? And right now I can see that Lisa Lawyer has access to the information in here, but I can click on manage permissions and remove her access. Just like that. She no longer has access to the hundreds of time and date stamp messages and dozens of documents. And when Christine Carson calls me back or sends me another message asking me to add the new attorney, what do? When things are unclear, I go to the gear. I click on the gear symbol here, I click on manage permissions, and I'm going to add the new attorney. And let's say that that new attorney is Lonnie Lawyer. All right, so I now add Lonnie Lawyer. And now I can see that Lonnie Lawyer now has access to the estate planning workspace thread for client Christine Carson. And Lonnie would see all the hundreds and hundreds of time and date stamp messages in here and dozens of documents, including any information that was added by the prior attorney who no longer has access, Lisa Lawyer. Okay, so literally in about 20 seconds, I can remove one person's access and give that full access to another person. So that might be, in your world, switching that access from one professional to another, or from one employee to another, or one person to another inside the office that you're working, say the new person who comes in, et cetera, et cetera. So very clean inside of Verifyle in terms of being able to transfer that historical transcript of knowledge from one person to another. Imagine trying to do that using email and email attachments, not to mention all the security issues, right? Okay, the other thing I want to point out to you is if I go ahead here and as Dana Shibley, the LDA, I can, let's say I need to know who's looked at that life insurance policy. Well, that's easy enough for me to do. I simply go here and I click on the gear. I go to the gear, right? And the gear symbol right next to the life insurance policy. And then I click on view access history. And here I can see that for the life insurance policy that Lonnie Lawyer hasn't looked at it yet. That's okay, I just gave him access, right? Sammy's spouse hasn't looked at it yet, but Christine Carson has looked at it 2 times. And if I click here, I can see the exact dates and times that Christine has accessed this particular document, right? And if she accessed it 29 times or whatever over the last weeks, I would see all of those access instances here, right? And if I can see that she's accessed this document, let's say 28 times over the last 3 months or whatever, that's a pretty big tip off to me that there's an opportunity for me to add value here and help my client better understand the implications of this particular life insurance policy, right? Similarly, if I see that she's just accessed it 20 minutes ago and I have a call with her in 10 minutes, there's a good chance she's going to ask me about that document, right? And I've been teed up to know that in advance because I have some sense of what's happening on the other side of the communication. All of these things help heighten my situational awareness about what's going on my client's side. Okay, similarly, whether you're communicating inside of a workspace thread like I am right now, or you're communicating just one-to-one with somebody, like I can do if I click on Christine Carson's name right here, right? In any of those cases, I can very easily go ahead and I can click on anybody's name to see when they were last inside of that communication. So watch this. If I click on Lonnie Lawyer's name, I can see he's never even been in here yet. Okay, all right. However, if I click on Christine Carson's name, I can see that she was last in here Tuesday, February 6th at 12:36 p.m. Okay, and I'd see that regardless of whether or not she actually added any information. Again, just something else to help me understand what's happening on the other side of my communication. So on this side, perhaps at a minimum, I get some sense of at least some sense of the recency of this information in my client's head, right? All right, so those are all important things for you to think about. And another thing is, I'm sure that electronic signatures are near and dear to many of you, so I want to show you how to do that real quickly. So let me go into the therapy and counseling area. Okay, so for therapy and counseling, let's say that I want to get a signature on a document from my client. So I'll type a message here for them. Please sign this doc. All right, I'll click on the paperclip symbol, and then I will I'm just going to pull in a generic engagement letter. Okay, there we go. There's the engagement letter. Now, as you know, if I click send right here, the Verifyle system is simply going to share that document with Christine and Sammy. But I want a signature. So how do I indicate to Verifyle that I want that? The way I do that is clicking in this little box right here, request signing. Then I click send. Okay? And the Verifyle system wants to know from me, whose signature do I want? Well, I want both of their signatures. Okay. And in fact, I actually want Christine Carson to sign first. All right. So I click next. All right. And so for Christine Carson, I need to answer a couple of questions. For the first signer, Christine Carson, do I want her to agree to these terms below? I agree to do business electronically. By the way, I can change these terms to be whatever I would like, and also set those as default terms if I would like to. Okay. I want her to agree to do business electronically. Yes, so I'll leave that there. Also, do I want to add SMS verification to this signature process? Yes, I do. Okay. So yes, I want to require the signer to input a one-time signature code as part of the signing process. So as part of that, I'm going to add in what I know to be the mobile phone number for Christine Carson at which she can receive that one-time signature code. So I'll add that mobile phone number right here. That, and then I'll click next. Okay, the second signer, Sammy's spouse. Yes, I want to require him to agree to these terms right here. Okay, do I want to add SMS verification? Yes, I do. So I'll go ahead and add what I know to be his mobile number. Okay, and click continue. Okay, here's the engagement letter itself. Okay, I'm going to increase its size just a little bit. I scroll down. As I scroll down, I can move my mouse, which moves the cursor on my screen. And for Christine Carson, I'm going to draw a rectangle right here where I want that signature to be. Okay, and I can click in the box to indicate to Verifyle what type of content I want to go into that box, right? So I want a signature to go there, so I'm going to leave it like that. And for the second box here, let's just say that I want it to be the date in this format. Okay, so there we go for Christine Carson. Now I'm going to click next signer. The next signer is Sammy's spouse. And for Sammy's spouse, let's say that I want his signature right here. Okay, and let's say that I want his initials to go right here, for example. Okay, now, all of you should be aware of this. This is something maybe even those of you who are veteran users don't know. But if this is a document that I'm going to use many, many, many times, I might want to create a template for it. And I can do that by clicking on the templates tab right here. And I can save this template, for example, and call it engagement letter for couples. If it was just a single person I was having sign this document, I might call it engagement letter for single person, et cetera, et cetera. So in the future, whenever I call this document up for someone else to sign, rather than having to go draw the boxes in the appropriate places, I can simply refer to that template. And when I call up that template, it'll throw down the appropriate signature or date or initial or custom boxes where they need to go. And then I'm rolling without having to draw those boxes. Okay, so definitely look into that if you have documents that you're using over and over again with multiple people. Okay, so I'll finish the signature request. I click submit request. Okay, and now I can see inside of my Verifyle system that Christine has been notified to sign the engagement letter. Okay, let's see what this looks like from the client Christine Carson's perspective now. I'm in as Christine Carson, the client, right? And I would have received an email alert that an engagement letter awaits my signature, right? And there's also an internal alert here in Verifyle letting me know to review and sign the engagement letter. So I click here to review and sign it. Do I agree to do business electronically? Hi, Christine. If I click no, I'll be backed out, okay? And Verifyle is not gonna let me go forward until I click yes. So I click yes, okay? And the person requesting my signature wants me to input a one-time passcode, okay? So I'm going to click here to receive that signature code, okay? So I, Christine Carson, am now looking on my phone to get that code that has been texted to me, okay? And now I type it in and click submit. Okay. So yes, I confirm that this is my signature and initials. Okay. And yes, I'm willing to click here to confirm that this is where the signature goes. And I'm willing to click here and have my signature go down where my LDA wanted it to go down, and also click here to confirm that it's okay for the date to go here. Okay. So there. I just electronically signed that particular document. And I, Christine Carson, can see that I have signed. And now Sammy's spouse has been notified that it's his turn to sign. But let's go and look at this from Dana's perspective. All right. So I'm in now as Dana, okay? And as Dana, I can see that the engagement letter has been signed by Christine, okay? And I can click on it here or here to look at the actual signature on it. So I'll click here this time and I'll click preview. Okay, and if I scroll down, I can see exactly where Christine has signed and dated this particular document electronically. And at any time that I would like, I can go here, I can go to the gear here and click on view signing info, right? And here I can see the full document signing audit report, including all the metadata associated with me requesting the signature, plus the metadata associated with Christine signing the document, including that she has accepted to do business electronically, also capture of her IP address, and that she's passed the SMS verification test. And I can click here on print anytime that I would like to print this report out in soft copy PDF, right? Or hard copy if I'd like to. And we don't have time to do it, but her husband, Sammy's spouse, once he signs the document, all of his signing metadata would be added to this document signing audit report as well. Okay. And all of you should know that at any time you would like, you have the ability to click on any document and then click on preview, or by clicking on the gear symbol, right? And then once you preview any document, you get unlimited editing capability in the form of being able to click on this pencil icon right here, which lets you change the order of pages in any document. Okay, you can also click on the X to delete pages in any document. You can also click on add annotation in order to annotate any document. Okay, just like that, right? And so you can do that as much as you would like. And you also have the ability to merge multiple documents into a single document here if you would like. All right, I imagine some of you are paying for that capability in other places right now. Okay, so you should know something that's significant here. If you recall, I, as Dana Shibley, the LDA, have the ability to see these workspace threads that I've set up here. And I can add many, many more workspace threads if I would like, which on the other side of the communication, from the client side of the communication, I'm going back in as Christine Carson, the client. And the client side of the communication can potentially look like a number of different workspace threads. And those could be categories such as issues for 2023, issues for 2022. I don't know how to say to organize your communications, but the point I'm trying to make badly here is that you can set up a number of workspace threads such that whenever your client signs into Verifyle, they're going to see kind of a portfolio view of the information well organized by you into the relevant containers. Okay, that's the point I was trying to make. Okay, and now I know for some of your clients, they could care less, right? They're fine to just have everything flowing into one place. But for some of your clients, I bet that they would really appreciate that level of organization. And I'm going to bet that those clients are some of your most important clients. Okay, back to Dana's view right here. Okay, the other thing that's important about Verifyle is if you talk to people who very recently started using Verifyle, often they'll tell you that the reason for that is that Verifyle is very secure, or perhaps they'll tell you that they like the unlimited electronic signatures at no charge. Okay, but if you talk to people who've been using it for a while, they will tend to tell you about how easy it is for them to use and how easy it is for their clients to use and how productive of a tool it is. And a lot of that stems from the Workspace environment that we've created right here, where you can see the key people involved, plus the key topics or Workspace threads, right, if you've labeled well, and the key documents, all very easily in a way that you can quickly understand the interrelationships between the people and the organizational groups and the documents and the messages and so forth. And all of this, putting it into a single place where you can access it, helps make this information tangible, which elevates your ability to think about all of this in a strategic sense, rather from just the sense of, okay, I better do task A, then task B, then task C, et cetera, et cetera. And when you make information tangible like this, and it allows you to think strategically, it really helps your ability to think in terms of how you move the whole, holistically about how to move the situation forward. And there are many companies, especially in our part of the country right here in Silicon Valley, they would love to just sell you all these different modules and so on and so forth and different pages and tell you how powerful all of that is. But the reality is that nothing could be farther from the truth. Real value comes from being able to understand more while looking at less. And the Verifyle system, through its Workspace environment, allows you to do that. It's also the case that great software allows you to accomplish more while doing less. So Verifyle helps in this regard. And it also serves as a wonderful digital cue card in that at any time you would like, from your home screen, let's say someone calls you out of the blue that you haven't talked to in 3 months and starts rapid fire talking to you about all these specific legal details that you haven't thought about in months, and you've talked to 500 other people in that interim. It sure is nice that as they're speaking, you can just click on their Workspace. Oh yeah, this is client Christine Carson. Oh yeah, those are the key people who are involved. Oh yeah, here are the topics we're talking about. And easily be able to access the documents and snap your mind back to that point where you can quickly add value in that conversation, as opposed to, can I call you back in 15 minutes? That type of thing, right? All right, so moving ahead. I want to show you real quickly a Workspace here that I think will resonate with many of you. This is a Workspace I created in advance. Okay, you're gonna have to use your imagination here a little bit because I don't know each of your specific working environments, but let's say that this is the Rockefeller family. It's a family I do a lot of work for, and they have a lot of issues going on, and they use me quite a bit. So when I click on the Rockefeller family workspace, I'm now inside of the Rockefeller family workspace. And let's say that my main contact is Ricky Rockefeller, okay? And let's say that for Ricky Rockefeller, I'm helping manage just some of the basic flow of information for their tax issues. And as I mentioned before, I'm dealing with some estate planning issues for them, some legal requirements issues. There are a number of different things I'm helping them with. And my main contact is actually Ricky Rockefeller, okay? Now, Ricky Rockefeller has a number of different documents, including his life insurance policy, his last will and testament, and his asset list that many people in his world are quite interested in, including immediate and extended family members like Rhonda Rockefeller and Susie's stepsister, but also including his business partner, Ed Executive, his personal counselor, para-counselor, Adam Attorney, his attorney, and also Arnold Advisor, or maybe his financial advisor, right? And so it sure is nice that in my work with Ricky Rockefeller, of course, I'm being the best LDA that I possibly can with him. But perhaps there's an opportunity for me to put myself in a much stickier position, where in addition to doing what he's expecting of me, being a great LDA, I can put myself into that very sticky position of also serving as a professional steward of his information, if you will, on a need-to-know basis with confirmation over who has access to what information. I can serve as a professional steward of his information out to his immediate and extended family members and also his professional services network. how sticky of a position is that to put myself into with respect to working with Ricky and giving him top-notch service? Okay, and how many potential leads to future business does that open up for me as I professionally share and present information to people in his network? Some of those people might actually appreciate the level of professionalism I use to securely share that information and might want to work with me in the future, becoming clients of mine, right? So it's a way to serve my clients, put myself in a very sticky position with respect to working with them, and perhaps grow my network of business as well. Now, this is the point where some of you are probably thinking, Dana, just stick to your software. Don't think that you're one of us, et cetera, et cetera. But I would counter that by saying, you know what? You're a professional services provider, just like financial services people, just like software people like me, just like people who are CPAs, and just like educators and many other professionals, in that there's not a physical, tangible product in your industry. It is basically just information, laws, and relationships. And because of that, for all of our industries, the performance bar is going to continue to rise very, very rapidly. And so I think it behooves all of us to try and add value to our clients in ways that they didn't expect. Okay, I'll get off really public now. Okay, so back home here, moving ahead quickly, I know I haven't covered some of the information that those of you who are already current users want to know. Real quickly, contacts here, as you know, you can click on the plus symbol to add someone's name and email address to add them as an individual contact. However, you should know that you can also bulk import contacts using the CSV file format, which allows software companies to export and import contact information. If you bulk import contacts into Verifyle, then you would instantly fill out your entire contacts list. So you can just instantly click on people's names to begin securely communicating with them without having to worry about how to spell their name and what their email address is and so on and so forth. You can also quickly build out your workspaces that way. Okay, if you need help bulk importing contacts, just go to youtube.com and type in Verifyle contacts. And if you need help, email us at support@verifyle.com. Okay, you can also all click on your name at the top right anytime, go into account settings. Here you can change your name, your email address, your signature. You can swap out the CALDA logo for any logo of your choosing. We're going to come back to public upload page and request payment in just a minute. Storage used, here I've used 20 megs of 250 gigs of space, which is a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction of 1%. I don't expect any of you are going to bump up against your limit there. Automatically send alerts, please leave that on. That's what makes it so when you enter information into Verifyle, intended recipients will receive the email alerts. Document activity alerts, this is what makes it so that you receive an email alert when someone has looked at or downloaded information you've shared with them or shared it with someone else inside of Verifyle. Okay, message edit capability, that's on. You can turn that off for workspaces in which you are the host, if you would like. Okay, block list, blocking someone's not bad. It just makes it so when they share information with you, you will not see the external email alert, although you will continue to see, of course, the internal alert in Verifyle. 3 languages we have right now, English, Spanish, and French. Here in security settings, you can change your password. You can go into session management. All of you, please do this, okay? Go into session management. This is where you'll see if you have any sessions left open of Verifyle on other browsers or devices, and you can log out of them. But most importantly, you can click on this little slider right here to indicate to Verifyle the amount of time after which, if you have been inactive in Verifyle, the Verifyle system will automatically log you out. I like to keep it at 1 or 2 hours. Okay, 2-factor authentication, really all of you should be using this as well. It comes in 2 forms. The form that I'm using where I see the changing code on my mobile phone, or you can activate the format of it where you have that additional code texted to you whenever you sign into your Verifyle system. Okay, we said we're going to go to a public upload page and request payment. Okay, everything I've shown you thus far is absolutely 100% free for you inside of Verifyle. By the way, there are no file size limits. Okay, so effectively your file size limit depends on how good your internet connectivity is, right? And yes, you get unlimited electronic signatures, and yes, there is no charge at all for your clients that you're working with, and no charge for them to sign, of course, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, all that's free. Here are a couple more things. There is a public upload page now available in Verifyle. This is essentially a custom web page that anybody can use to securely share information to you that lands in your Verifyle system. Okay, that custom web page would have your logo, and it would also have a custom message from you. It also allows you to create a handle. Okay, so I might create the handle of Dana, your LDA, as long as nobody else has taken that handle. All right, that handle would then serve as a link that I could put in my email signature that anybody could click on to securely share information with me. And that link could also go on my website so that anybody could click on it to share information with me that would land in my Verifyle. Okay, if you want to learn more about that, just click here. So now I'm in the public upload page area, right? And if you watch this little video right here, that'll tell you more in-depth information about the public upload page, okay? All right, request payments. So in Verifyle, you now have the ability to invoice and accept payments from clients, okay? And you can get more information about that by clicking here to show details. And there's a short video here that tells you all about that, how to get it set up, and then how to use that inside of Verifyle. Okay, so all of you are CALDA members on this call, I presume. So those two items, public upload page and request payments, you can get access to, and the cost to you for that, if you scroll to the bottom of your page and then you click on Show Options, you can see the packages that you have here, all right? So you get CALDA Pro, okay? That's what you get for free, no charge. And note that you get 1,500 workspaces, by the way. That's very, very important, okay? The standard Verifyle Pro package only provides 30 workspaces, okay? But you have a legacy version of Verifyle Pro. We call it CALDA Pro, and you get up to 1,500 workspaces, okay? So what I want to point out to all of you is that for those clients of yours where it's simple back and forth between you and one other person, again, you could probably work with all those people right out of your contacts area. But if you're going to have deeper communications with people, you probably want to set up a workspace area for them. And you shouldn't have any problems running out of workspaces because you have so many of them. Okay, now, we just talked about the custom public upload page and the ability to invoice and request and receive payments. Okay, so if someone comes in off the street and they want that public upload page and the ability to request and receive payments, right now they're paying either $22 a month or $49 a month to get all of those capabilities, okay? So because you're a legacy partner of ours, you can upgrade to CALDA Pro Plus for $9 per month, and that would give you these additional capabilities right here, plus some other benefits that you can see right here in terms of additional capacity. So if you're really just getting started with Verifyle, I'd probably recommend to you that for a while you just work in CALDA Pro. If you have been working in Verifyle for a while, yeah, you might consider wanting to get the public upload page and also the ability to invoice, request, and receive payments as well. Okay, so those are some of the highlights of Verifyle that I wanted to point out to all of you. And just in case I did a bad job explaining this, I want to say again, if you just have simple one-to-one communications with people, work with them right out of the contacts area right here, right? Okay, but when you have deeper level communication needs, multiple people, multiple topics, potentially going on for a very long time, lots of information moving back and forth, that's when you should consider creating a workspace like we did for client Christine Carson, right? Where I can still see all the information that I started communicating to Christine with out of the contacts area, right? All right, I did say I would get to some questions, so let's go ahead and see if there are any questions that I didn't hit on here. Okay, I have some people asking me exactly what's different between our system and other systems. I don't want to get into specific details there because there are a lot of systems out there, but what I can tell you is that Verifyle is very easy to use, and it's specifically designed to be easy for professional services and their clients to use. And it's got phenomenal security, so those are some things that you should keep in your mind. Okay, and this is a question that comes up quite a bit, actually. Okay, so in Verifyle, regardless of whether you're in the Workspaces area or you're in the Contacts area, at any time, you can click on this little tab right here, which is often overlooked, okay? And you can decide how you want that information to be sorted, right? So I like to keep my information sorted by updated date, but you can sort it by host name, by workspace name, alphabetical, et cetera, right? I like updated date, which is basically recency. Okay, similar for contacts, you can still go over to that tab there, and you can sort it by last name, by first name, however you would like. And I like to, again, keep it sorted by recency or updated date. Okay, I guess some people missed the beginning of the presentation, but all of you get Verifyle Pro at no charge. Okay, if you're interested in more than just Verifyle Pro, go into your account settings area, which you can access by clicking on your name, then account settings at the top right, and then scroll all the way to the bottom right and click on options, and you can see what your options are for getting payment capability and also the public upload page. Okay, and then yes, how long does information stay in Verifyle? Information remains in Verifyle. That's the basic thing that you should have in your head. However, if you've created a workspace, then you get a little more control over that. So I'm now in the client Christine Carson workspace. Because I am the host, the creator of this workspace, I get capabilities that the guests like Christine Carson and Sammy Spouse don't get, right? So for example, I can come in here and I can delete an entire workspace thread. All I need to do is click on the gear icon and I can click delete thread and it will delete this estate planning workspace thread just like that. It's now gone, all right? Only I'm able to do that. Nobody else can do it. I can also go and remove people from the guests list in here. So it might make sense for me to remove Lisa Lawyer since I'm not going to be sharing anything else with her in here, right? And my client didn't want her in here, right? All right, so now Lisa Lawyer's name is gone, okay? And yes, I can delete the entire workspace if I would like to as well. So that's a two-step process because accidentally deleting an entire workspace would be a huge bummer, right? So if I go to the client Christine Carson workspace, click on the gear symbol, the first of two steps to delete that workspace is, first of all, I click archive workspace. Now the client Christine Carson workspace is no longer in the colored active workspaces area. But if I click on archive, I can see it right there, okay? By the way, if new information gets added here by anybody, it would automatically pop back up into the active colored workspaces area, okay? But yes, I do have the ability to click on the gear icon right here, where I could manually unarchive the workspace to kick it back up into the colored active workspaces area. Or if in fact, I'm 100% sure that I want to delete this workspace and I will never be able to access any of this information again, I can click delete workspace and okay that action. Now the client Christine Carson workspace is completely gone, okay? All right, so with that, I want to thank all of you for participating in today's presentation. I want to thank CALDA for being a great partner of ours and remind all of you that if you would like, you are welcome to email us at support@verifyle.com with any other questions that you might have. Okay, thank you very much, everybody.